Maggy Wilkinson, welcome to the show.
Sue, it's so good to see you.
It's great to see you. I wanted to open this special segment, I should say, with you just by saying thank you for being a sponsor of Women to Watch and actually for being both professionally and personally supportive of our show and what we're doing. I'm really grateful.
Well, thank you for saying that. We're big fans and we love what you're doing and just keep doing it.
We are. That's the plan. So, for some of our viewers and listeners who may not know you, I wanted you to just give a quick bio of yourself and how you landed as the founder and CEO of Athena Global Advisors.
Sure. I started Athena almost 12 years ago now. It's hard to believe. February of 2013. And really thought we were going to be doing anti-bribery and corruption work. We don't do any of that work. The universe had a different plan for us. So we are now a marketing consultancy based here in Philadelphia. I have 118 employees and we're growing. If you are looking for a job, please check out our website. There are lots of things posted.
Excellent.
And it's exciting. And we're fortunate to work with brands both in the region of Philadelphia and across the country.
I would say, just from my own observation, you've had exponential growth over this past year as far as, is the hiring and the building of a client base.
Yeah, we had a really great foundation built, and we're fortunate here within Philadelphia to have done some really great things. We do a good bit of work for Comcast. We led the city of Philadelphia's bid for the World Cup, which was super fun. But we've begun doing some work with Subaru, which has been just fantastic. And we still support a lot of sporting, national leagues, that kind of thing. The NFL is a really great client, for instance. And we do other work in telecommunications space as well. Liberty Latin America is a great client. And then infrastructure, Hitachi Energy, Hitachi Rail. And then we've won, I can't talk about yet, but we've won some other really fun, exciting projects. So stay tuned.
Good.
Coming out in early 25. Yeah,
Awesome.
So it's an exciting time for us.
Yeah, and all big brands, well-known
recognizable
brands.
For sure.
Yeah. So we wanted to kind of focus this particular segment, and sit down with you on community engagement and community impact.
Sure.
And I guess my first question for you is there one in particular recent project that has been especially meaningful for you?
Yeah, great question. I just got back from Miami. We were part of a big fundraiser for Liberty Latin America, which in the US is based in Miami, but really operates the cellular and internet services for many, many countries in the Caribbean. And we helped them conceive of and bring to market a program called Jump. We have it's now live in 9 countries in the Caribbean, and it was a recognition coming out of the pandemic that there was a true need to bridge the digital divide. And this is true across the globe, actually. Countries that really don't tackle this issue and take it seriously, I think are going to be left behind in this century of connectivity. And so it was a program that was started. The first country that we really worked in, there were several simultaneously, but Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Grenada, and others. We helped them broker public-private partnerships with the governments of those countries to understand where there were internet affordability issues, but also based on our deep knowledge in this space for years of work with other clients, understanding that getting access to the internet is not just an affordability issue. It is a training people on how to use the internet and to gain digital literacy. And it's also an issue of a device. You need a way to connect. You need a device. And so Dell came in as the device partner on Jump. And we've got several thousand families connected now, and it's up and running. And we're really, really proud of that because of the impact that it will have, not just immediately for kiddos to be able to get on the internet and do their homework and complete assignments, but for families more broadly, and then thinking about what are the impacts of that 10 years from now. Who will go to college and go on to do something exciting in their career because they were able to avail themselves of this program. So
Yeah.
we get super excited about things like that, and I think that's
Yeah.
a good recent example.
That's a great project. And gosh, I wish I had the ability to see the people in the community and these villages that haven't had this connectivity before and now
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
because they have big dreams and aspirations,
yeah. No,
even as
it's pretty
entrepreneurs.
terrific. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me how you think, as a company, um, focusing on community engagement differentiates you from other marketing consultancies.
I think it gives us a different strategic lens, and it's around understanding more fully the impact that the brands we support can have in their communities, and not only what that means for the communities that they're part of, but also for their employees. I think it leads to people being much more excited about what they're doing on behalf of their employer when they realize the positive impact that they can have in the world. And so I think it informs us differently. It also makes us very operationally focused because we've got to really look at the nuts and bolts and figure out how to put these programs together so that they actually work. And, a good example of that, and we've talked about it before, but was Huddle for 100 for the NFL. And really figuring out how to bring about almost 1,200 huddles, how to get over 1 million people to not only give at least 100 minutes of time, but to record that so that we actually had an auditable record of that and could say we really did it. Like that required a lot of orchestration with all 32 clubs, with the NFL itself, with the communities that they were where they are, and then and things like measuring the minutes, verifying it on social media, running a micro sweepstakes, running a website, creating the branding and the assets, bringing about the initiatives. So it's very tactical, if you will, and I think that differentiates us in terms of how we conceive of something, but then also bringing it to life. We really understand where the rubber meets the road and how to actually bring it about. And I think that's different, and it's informed by this community lens that we have.
I'm curious if you're seeing trends in this particular space. Trends, I guess,
Yeah,
with organizations and companies that now see the importance of participating in that outside of the company itself and the work that they're doing.
yeah. So I think that's twofold. I think there's a top down and there's a bottom up. And the top down, I would point to something like in 2019, the Business Roundtable really changing the definition and getting well over 100 corporations to sign what the definition of a corporation is, which is really not about just shareholder benefit, but stakeholder benefit. Who are your stakeholders? And that includes your employees, your communities, the vendors you use, not just your shareholders. They're part of the equation, but not the whole equation. So I think there's this top-down focus that has evolved over the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years in particular. I also think that it is demanded now by this younger generation. I think that
For sure.
they shop and buy and do their due diligence on where they put their money. And so I think that well-recognized brands know that and realize that they've got to satisfy a bar. They've got to hit a certain level of demonstrating that they authentically do this in order to satisfy their customer base, if you will.
Maggie, I wonder if you can leave our viewers and listeners with some advice, particularly for young women who are aspiring to go into the marketing field.
Sure.
That's a big question,
Yeah,
advice.
it is a big
After
question.
a long, successful career, what's your number? What would you say? I'm going to rephrase it. One of the greatest lessons that you have learned that's allowed you to be now the CEO of such a big company, and perhaps a mistake that was made.
Yeah. Be fearless and know that if you don't get it right, you might be supremely embarrassed. And I think I've mentioned that to you before.
Uh-huh.
It's hardly ever fatal. Unless you're launching rockets, you
Yeah.
can recover,
Right.
and you can learn. And I think, to be fearless, and in order to be fearless, you have to not take yourself too seriously. Some levity really helps along the way. And so, I am the quintessential second act. I mean, I am a do-over. I started all over in my mid-40s. I'm so glad I did. What I get to do now is so fun.
Right.
And I don't know if I would have done it if I had gotten too in my head about what it was really going to take.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a level of confidence we have later in life that allows us to really enjoy our work more because we don't have all those insecurities.
Yeah. I've met with women who have been let go and, they've gotten to me one way or another from somewhere that they were part of a reduction in force or a big layoff. And my advice always is, you're talented, that you're good at what you do. Try to breathe and enjoy this right now, because these moments in between things are so precious. And I think it can be so nerve-wracking to think, oh my God, what am I going to do next? And is it going to work out? Am I going to be okay? And I always say, yes, I promise it is. It is going to work out. And so just know that going into it, and know your values, so that when you're pursuing what's going to be next, don't just take the first thing that you think will satisfy, meeting all your obligations. Know what you've got in you, and be sure that you're seeing that reflected in what opportunity it is that you're going to pursue next.
Yeah, I think you do that very well. That's great advice, Maggie. And I thank you and appreciate your stopping in for this quick segment.
Really good to see you.
It's great to see you, and I look forward to our next sit down.
Me too.